welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Merkel here with us today. Aaron, go and say hi, Aaron.
Hi.
Alright, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So, in this video, we'll be taking a look at the Cleveland Browns and what they should do this offseason in order to take that next step into contention territory. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what the Browns are dealing with this offseason. So, as far as cap space goes, not a lot to speak of. I believe right now they have negative 20
That's a
million.
bit of an understatement.
Yeah, I believe right now they have about negative 20 million to work with. Luckily for them, not a ton of super prevalent free agents are set to leave them on the open market. Some of the notable names include Zadarius Smith, regular season hero Joe Flacco, who single-handedly put the team on their back this year after the defense did most of the work for the majority of the season and led that Browns team into the playoffs where they lost in the first round. You also got punter Corey, however you pronounce his name, Bourgeois. Probably one of the best players that they could potentially lose this offseason, which tells you a lot. Kareem Hunt potentially gone again for like the third or fourth straight year in a row. Cleveland might lose Kareem Hunt. Let's see who else. I mean,
really, I mean, Shelby Harris is kind of a stud.
yeah, really, yeah, not a whole lot of relevant names. I feel like that are set
A
to
lot of
potentially leave.
like the bigger names, they're older,
Yeah, like Zadarius Smith and Joe
You wouldn't
Flacco and
necessarily
Kareem
want to sign
Hunt.
them to
Yeah,
a big long-term contract.
right. No, so I mean, it's really you'd assume Cleveland lets a lot of those guys go, especially considering they don't have any cap room to really bring them back. In a perfect world, they can somehow create some cap space and maybe go out and get, I don't know, maybe some receiving weapons to help with Bill Cosby. I mean, Deshaun Watson. Um, some, maybe a more running backs to.
You're just trying to get us in trouble, aren't you?
What? I didn't say anything. I have no idea what you're talking about. Although it is possible Deshaun Watson may have to go back to the courtroom in order to, I guess there's some more legal stuff coming up about him, as per usual. Um,
Well, this is nothing new.
yeah. I mean, it's the same
No,
battle he's
like
been
this.
fighting.
Yeah.
Same battle he's been
There's
fighting the
no new
entire time.
there's
Yeah.
no new cases.
Right. No, he's
It's
just
usually
having
the
to go
same
back
case.
and yeah. He's just having to. It's back in the news again. Is basically what I'm saying. Um, but even when he's playing, he's not. He's kind of a shell of his former self. Those glory days from Houston seem to be far behind him. Unfortunately, well, unfortunately, maybe not. Uh, what are some things that you can see the Browns doing this offseason to kind of turn the ship around, or maybe not turn it around because they did make the playoffs, but help them make that next step because they've kind of been running in place for the last 5 seasons.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, obviously getting Chubb healthy, that's kind of like what makes their offense tick. And then doing your best to find some young, cheap wide receivers, maybe in the draft or you know free agents, and then just kind of make the best of it. Because I mean, that contract with Deshaun Watson's not doing you any favors, and it's not like he's going out there and winning them a bunch of games by himself. So I think they're in a pretty tough spot offensive wise.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like the Browns have their number one draft pick this season, which not great, not great. They do have their second, third, um, and either a fourth or fifth conditional from Carolina, as well as their own fifth, their own seventh, and then an additional seventh from Atlanta and a sixth from Houston. I mean, a lot of this is a pretty deep receiving class, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of those, better prospects fall to the second round where Cleveland can maybe take them. Amari Cooper is probably their only, consistent wide receiver at this point, would you say? So, I
Yeah,
mean,
probably.
yeah, they need some other weapons around him. David Njoku is a really good tight end, but he can only do so much. He's not Travis Kelce. He's not George Kittle. Um, Nick Chubb coming back healthy would be huge, like you said. Jerome Ford being more involved this year should also help. But I think it really starts with just getting Deshaun Watson more weapons because we've seen what that defense can do. That defense is ridiculous, especially with Myles Garrett kind of running the ship over there. I think
Ridiculous at home.
ridiculous at home. They do struggle on the road from time to time. That is true. You hope that that defense can travel if the offense can maybe get going. Excuse me, early in games, but I think it really starts on trying to get more receiving weapons for Deshaun Watson. In a perfect world, you probably don't even have Deshaun Watson's ugly contract right now, and you're able to make a lot, more moves. There's a lot more wiggle room for you this offseason. But with that fat whale of a contract, I mean, it's kind of hard to do anything. Am I wrong?
Did you see? I forget his name, but he's like a former Jets GM. Said that he would trade Deshaun Watson and a second round pick to the Giants for Daniel Jones.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I feel like that's not the like. If I'm the Browns, I might
I
do
feel
that.
like that's great for the Browns, but that's
Yeah,
terrible
yeah,
for
yeah.
the
I
Giants.
don't see the Giants doing
There would
that.
there would have to be some sort of salary split, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, the thing is that Daniel
for that to
Jones
make any sort
contract's
of
not
sense.
pretty either, though. That's the thing. You
Oh
just
yeah, but it's not it's not
no,
Deshaun Watson.
no, and you assume there's at least some potential there with Daniel Jones that may have already been washed away from Deshaun Watson. So, yeah, I mean, would you consider maybe looking at a quarterback if one of those, top five, six guys fall to the second round for Cleveland? Or do you think they're kind of dead set on riding with Deshaun?
How many more years do you got?
Too many.
Yeah, till 2026.
So,
Oh, so
three?
like 3 seasons.
Yeah. Is it fully guaranteed, too?
Oh yeah.
Oof.
Oh yeah.
Oof. Mm. Yeesh.
Um. Yeah. I would. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be really the quarterback of the future at this point. So I wouldn't see the harm in getting a young guy, maybe having them at their position in the draft. I don't think they're going to get necessarily a ready to go day one starter. They
Maybe a
could they
Spencer
could probably get
Rattler.
someone who could. Yeah, that would be a good fit. That takes some time to develop and
Mm-hmm.
to learn. That'd probably be the right choice for them. Trading up, I don't necessarily
No.
see them being able to, or you know, there being a real reason to trade up and get
Yeah, I would agree.
one of those top tier.
I don't see the sense in them trading up for somebody, but if someone like a Spencer, which I mean, I would expect Spencer Rattler to definitely be available in the into the second round, if not even the third or fourth, maybe fall similar to like a Dak Prescott area. Um, and I don't think that would be a terrible decision. He's got a lot of raw talent. It's just a matter of whether you can develop that into being an NFL caliber quarterback. You would assume that if Deshaun Watson has another stinker this year, that the Browns will look to move off of him in the next offseason. I think that's kind of what they're waiting on is to get down to those last couple years to where he's a little bit easier to move off from, whether that is cutting them and eating the dead money or somehow, some way finding a trade partner who'll take on that contract. But I don't
Eating
think
137 million in dead cap.
it would be unprecedented, but maybe, maybe. It would be
Yeah, we'll just use half of our cap this year to cut one player.
okay. So maybe that's not the move, Unless there's a really good quarterback prospect coming out here soon, and they just want to kind of tank for him. But I guess if they were going to do that, this would have been the year to do so with Caleb Williams coming out. And then you also got the other Drake May and Jaden Daniels. If you were to tank for a quarterback, this probably would have been the year to do it. So I don't see that being. You're probably right. That's probably not what's going to happen. Uh, do you see anybody being willing to trade for Deshaun though, like take on that contract? Because it's a bigger eyesore than the Russell Wilson one would be, and nobody wants to take that on right
Um, I don't know as far as salary cap wise. I'm not necessarily proficient in all those teams. We haven't looked
now.
at all of them yet, but I'd say maybe as far as fit wise goes, maybe the Vikings.
That'd be
They've got
interesting.
some some good young talent. Obviously, Justin Jefferson should get paid.
Yeah.
Um, but that'd be a good offensive fit for him. I would suppose.
Yeah, I just hope for Vikings fans' sake, they if they do decide to move on from Kirk Cousins, it's towards a youth movement under center. Whether that's getting someone this year, well, I would assume if they're letting Kirk walk this offseason, they're probably planning on drafting somebody, especially considering they've got like a top 20 pick, um, maybe even
They
top
could bring in
15.
Joe Flacco.
They could bring in Joe Flacco. Oh man. Seeing Joe back in purple just on a different conference would be weird. Ah, man. He is elite, though. He is elite at the end of the day. Maybe that's what the Browns should just re sign Joe Flacco, bring him back at 40 years old to take him back to the playoffs, lose in the first round. But hey, maybe magic strikes, and you get to the AFC Championship game where you can lose to the Chiefs, huh? Huh? It all comes back to them. All comes back to
You
Chiefs.
are so pompous and arrogant.
Hmm. Is there anything else you want to talk about with the Browns? Because I mean, I feel like the Deshaun Watson just eyesore of a contract's the main thing going on over there. Outside of that, it's a really well-run organization. I feel like that's like the one mistake you can point to in the last 5 years, outside of getting rid of Baker, in my opinion, where you're like, ooh, not a good idea, not a good idea. Everything else, for the most part, pretty decent. So
I don't think really well-run organizations are 20 million over the cap.
like I said, if it wasn't for the Deshaun Watson contract, they wouldn't be, would they? It's all because of him.
Uh-huh.
Never forgive. But unless you got anything else, I think that'll do it for this episode of the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Circlebark Burkle, here on the coast today. Aaron, go and say bye, Aaron.
Bye.
All right, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Other than that, deuces.